Was one of these occasions that one wishes it did not occur, but since it did, we want to report to you that it is my opinion that everything that was done perfectly in order. But it's been my experience that the facts need to get out before it gets distorted. And this is the purpose of calling you here this moment. In October 24th, 2014, there was an emotionally disturbed man that was shot by police officers. And that was done after being charged in the middle of the night. Around 9:25, the Mount Vernon police was called to 158 Stevens Ave on a report of an emotionally disturbed man. And the arriving officers spoke with the resident, who told them that on the first floor, his resident had been acting irrationally. Now, 158, although it is a rooming house, it is reported to be a legal rooming house. And it has generated 14 calls for service for the Mount Vernon Police Department this year. The calls, which are unrelated to Anthony Smith, range from aided cases of dispute, including one assault and one criminal mischief. Now, the Westchester County Police was called in, and the DA's office, because we want complete transparency in this case, to report accurately what happened. We know that these are sensitive areas and sensitive times, and we don't want people to think that for any reason that anything was hidden or glossed over. It's a very serious incident, of course, and I'm going to have Deputy Commissioner Ward introduce the officer around, and then Captain Habanero, who is the chief, the head of the detective, is going to present any facts that you might deem necessary. So, Commissioner Ward.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon. I'd like to introduce to you, we have here with Deputy Commissioner Gaylord Worrell. We have Chief James Hunter. We have Captain Adenaro. We have over here Captain Goldman. We have Roberto Puzo, the President of City Council, and we have Lieutenant Caprisi.
Captain Calabrese.
Captain Calabrese, just reduced it. Okay, thank you very much, and put Mr. Mayor back.
Okay, now for the specifics of that incident, we're going to have Captain Adenaro, and he will give you the specifics plus answer any questions that you might have.
Good afternoon. At about 9:25 this morning, a resident of 158 Stevens Ave called the Mount Vernon Police Department to report a person out front wielding a knife. Upon arrival of the police officers several minutes thereafter, that person had entered his apartment. They spoke to the caller outside, who alerted them that he had entered his apartment. Officers responded to the first floor apartment, the front door, and attempted to establish a dialogue with him. He shouted to the officers through the door. He would not cooperate, he would not open the door. At some point, he actually called the police department, and they attempted to establish a telephone dialogue with him several times, even after he hung up, calling him back. That was to no avail. At one point, he did lean out a window and attempt to assault officers who were outside the apartment. As this occurred, officers at the door entered the apartment. As they entered, they attempted to subdue him with less lethal force means taser and OC spray, which is similar to mace. That did not work. The subject then charged the officers. He had a pair of scissors in one hand, he had a knife in the other hand. As he charged officers who were attempting to subdue him, officers behind them opened fire, subduing him before he could reach the officers. 158 Stevens Avenue, as the mayor said, is a rooming house. It is a legal rooming house. There have been 14 calls from service there that are not related to the subject. And those range from petty crimes to calls for service. The subject in this incident, Anthony Smith, is 31 years old. He's a resident there on the first floor. He has a criminal record that dates back to 2004. It's 2 arrests, misdemeanor charges. He has a history with the Mount Vernon Police Department. And since 2009, we've had 6 encounters with him, 4 of those involving him being taken for mental health services. 1 involved a marijuana arrest, and another one, he was a victim of a burglary. The investigation is being handled by the Westchester County Department of Public Safety to ensure impartiality, and as well as the Westchester County District Attorney's Office.
What was he say happened when he made the phone call to police?
You know what, we don't know yet. We haven't reviewed the tapes, but it appears that he was shouting unintelligibly, leave me alone, you know, I'm not going, things like that, but we don't have the full context.
When he was leaning out his window, he said he tried to assault officers. So how did he do so? Did he have a knife in his hand?
He had a knife in his hand and leaned out the window. Officers were stationed at the window to prevent him from escaping through the window.
Was he throwing anything out the window?
I don't know.
Who was the sergeant involved in the shooting?
I don't believe we're going to give those names out just yet.
Upon information belief, it's Sergeant Marcuccelli, Marcuccelli. According to the Journal News article on March 17th, he's cost the taxpayers $930,000 in police brutality cases.
Yeah,
why was he back on the street when he was on modified duty?
We are here to talk about this case. I know you might want to do otherwise, but if you stick to...
This is about the credibility of the officer is at stake here. If according to his reports and the jury keeps agreeing with him differently, there could be a question of credibility of the officer. So the question is, why was he back on the street? I believe you put him back on the street, Mayor, when he was on modified duty for 3 years without a gun in the bag.
The question is this incident.
Yes, this.
One could...
The credibility of the officer is at stake.
Excuse me. People can make several opinions of you.
This is fact, it's reported.
So let us not try to turn this into what it is not.
I'm just reporting the facts, that he was disciplined and we paid out $930,000.
If you have questions relating to this incident, then that's one thing. If you're here to do other things.
I do have a question. The question is, why was he back out on the street? Why is he still working for the city of Mount Vernon?
Because he's legitimate. He's been cleared of any wrongdoing.
By which body?
Next question.
I actually have another question for the captain. Captain, how many officers were involved? How many officers actually fired?
2 officers fired shots.
Are they on administrative leave?
Yes, they are.
How many shots were fired?
It appears about 9.
9. Okay. Where was he hit?
He was struck in the upper body and the leg. I do not know all of the injuries.
And he was taken to Jacoby?
He was taken to Jacoby and he underwent surgery. He's out of surgery.
He's expected to be okay?
I don't have an update on his condition.
As far as his charge or his arrest or his mental health issues, has he ever tried to harm anyone else?
That I couldn't tell you. What I know is that he has been treated for mental health issues.
What is Mount Vernon Police Department's policy on dealing with emotionally disturbed people?
Excuse me. Are there any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
I spoke to the Smith's uncle. Said he was shot 7 times. Is that correct?
I don't know exactly what it was.
Okay. And you had said that the police had tried to subdue him with pepper spray and taser.
Correct.
And at that close range, Why wasn't it working?
That's still under investigation.
And now this, going back to the initial call, was it from someone else who lives in that home, in that apartment home?
It was a
You should
resident of
step
the building.
closer to the podium.
The call was from a resident of the building.
And he was acting erratically outside in the hallway of this apartment, of the home?
Outside the building.
Outside the building?
Correct.
And he went back inside, and police came, by the time they came, he was already inside?
That's correct.
Okay. And what was he doing that warranted the police to go there?
It was reported that he was wielding a knife in the street and acting erratically.
Not threatening anybody with this knife, just waving it in the air? What did the,
We're not up to that level yet.
Kevin, does Anthony Smith live in the apartment?
Yes, he looked at
Was ESU called on the scene?
it. Yes, he was on the scene.
And was the sergeant trained to deal with emotionally disturbed persons that discharged his weapon?
No.
Thank you.
There was a sergeant from ESU at the scene.
And then the sergeant that discharged his weapon, was he trained to deal with emotionally disturbed persons?
We all are.
Any other questions?
What is your policy on dealing with emotionally disturbed people? When you come to a scene, is there a standard policy, or do you call ESU? What is your policy on dealing with emotionally disturbed persons?
I'm gonna have to step in and cut this off, because this is a very sensitive issue that you're trying to make it into something else. We're here to dispense the facts in this case, not to undergo all of the procedures of the police department. In time that everything will be answered, we have called in the county to make sure that what was done was legally done, and to make sure that nothing is swept under the rug. This is a very serious time, and we want to treat it that way.
Mr. Mayor, I just have another question for you. It's really quick. How many people were at home? I'm hearing that there are about 15 rooms in this house approximately. Do you know how many people were home at the time of this?
We have approximately 6 or 7 residents.
At that time, were they evacuated, or were they just asked to stay indoors?
They were indoors during the incident.
And did you have officers walk up the house and say, hey, stay indoors, we've got a situation?
Correct.
Also, how did officers enter this apartment finally? Did they have to break in?
Correct.
What did they do?
They forced it.
Was drug use an issue with this individual?
We don't know yet.
Where'd you find his ID from?
We're not even done there yet.
Did he have any, let's say, I'm asking you, any other legal weapons other than, say, knives and
I couldn't comment on that because it's still in court.
Did the charging that you said that happened as soon as the officers walked in, well, I guess the pepper spray was first, and then you charged them with the...
That's correct. They entered the apartment. They gave them verbal commands to drop the knife. He did not drop the knife. He advanced towards them. They tried less lethal means. He continued his advance and was trying to shots were fired.
Does my brother police use rubber bullets or bean bags?
I'm sorry?
Do you use rubber bullets or bean bags? Other police departments
We
use
are
it.
equipped.
Were they used today?
Any idea how long from when officers entered the apartment to the shots were fired?
Not right now, no.
Any other questions?
Could you state your name, Captain? I'm sorry, spell it.
Yeah, it's Captain Edward Adinaro, A-D-I-N-A-R-O.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.